I have a lot of people, guests or friends say, hey, my wife makes a great blueberry muffin. She wants to open a bakery. Can you talk her out of it? Man, you got to sell a lot of blueberry muffins to pay rent.
Ben Berg started with one steakhouse in Houston. Today, he runs a multi-concept restaurant group, 1,200 employees, $80 million in revenue.
And you got to be somewhat sadomasochistic, right? I mean, I think every restaurant takes 2 years off of my life, easily. You just got to so in love with your concept. If you don't believe it or show that you believe in it, what's the point, right? How's anybody going to follow you or come with you on this journey? Even in the darkest days when we got into financial trouble, that BK word, it wasn't an option. That we were going to find a way out of it.
What have you changed about your approach to help you for future success?
Start building a team that does things better than you and trust them. Like, give up. That's the hardest thing, is to like give up control. I went out and got this present. She's amazing. And she says no to me. And I got to listen.
What's your personal kill switch when it comes to recognizing that something's not working?
I mean, number one,
Ben Berg, welcome to the show. We're so excited to have you. You know, something about you that I've loved to see is you're someone who has a ton of grit when it comes to restaurants and your experience in there. And you said a quote that I love, and I feel like everyone in the restaurant space can relate to, especially if they know people who have started businesses that are not in the restaurant space. You said there's entrepreneurs and then there are restaurant entrepreneurs. And I think that that's a really, really interesting quote, because the restaurant people are a bit of a special breed, whether it's a bit of a special craziness to effect on what they do compared to what other people might go through, because there's so much intricate operational needs that restaurants have. And so I want to unpack that statement for a little bit, because you have a ton of experience opening restaurants, closing restaurants, going through everything. And a lot of people who are listening are folks who are either working for large companies in the restaurant space or are in small businesses that are thinking about trying to scale, or even just trying to start their own small business. So for someone with the wisdom that you have, I want to start super practical, maybe a little personal. What's on your non-negotiable checklist before you sign a lease to start a business? Like, what would you tell someone who's like a blueberry muffin vendor, a first-time founder of a thing, who thinks it's all about 90% about the product and the other stuff will get figured out? What are the real things that they should watch out for?
I would say, like, number one, you better believe in your concept, right? Like, I talk about ego, stuff like that. Like, you got to believe in it. The biggest thing is my, like, steakhouse, right? My steak is maybe 10% of what we do. You have to be an expert or fake being an expert until you know it, right? Every other thing, I know more about plumbing, HVAC, electrical, you know, freaking grease traps, grout colors. I didn't know there were different colors of grout, right? Then you have to have money. Like, probably number one, write a P&L, write a forecast, all right, here's your budget. Then take that and allow probably at least 50% more what you think is going to cost. Because I think the main killer, especially with restaurants, is we run out of money really quick. I mean, so that's number one, but understand it's not about if you make a great blueberry muffin, which, I use. I have a lot of people, guests or friends say, hey, my wife makes a great blueberry muffin. She wants to open a bakery. Can you talk her out of it? Pretty easy, because that blueberry muffin is, man, you got to sell a lot of blueberry muffins to pay rent,
Yeah.
And you got to be somewhat sadomasochistic, right? I mean, I think every restaurant takes 2 years off of my life, easily, opening. They want money. Like, the landlords are against you. Everything's a negotiation. The nice part is when you're new, the only thing that I enjoyed when I built my first restaurant, it was unfortunately the cheapest restaurant I ever built, right? 'Cause everyone thought it was going to fail, right? And the vendor, the contractors, all that, they didn't know if I had money or not. I mean, now the last restaurant, God, it's like they take you for everything, right?
You mentioned it was the cheapest restaurant you ever built. What made it that? And why does every restaurant since be more expensive? Is it just because people recognize, oh, Ben's got, the cash to pay more, so I should charge him more? Or what made that first restaurant the cheapest to build versus, or I should say least expensive, right?
Least expensive. That's the nice way to say it. Right?
Are different, right? Like, what made it the least expensive, and why did the future ones cost more?
I mean, aside from the point that it was 10 years ago and everything's gone up.
Okay.
Right. Like, aside from that fact, but you also, once you get a little success, like you have to give in on a lot of things when you raise money from other people. You have to be a steward of their cash. I was really nervous about, like, I could never go back and ask for more money. And so you just watch everything and you're like, this is what I got. And then you don't know enough to be more expensive. That's one thing. Like, now I know a lot more. And there's a lot more pretty stuff out there that I want to go find. And, when you're creating, I look at our restaurants as kind of creating experiences, and you get exposed to a lot of stuff that's shit. I want that stuff. Like designers. I never had an interior designer. And, my architect was old school, still drew in hand. I mean, they're really pretty drawings, but you can't do that anymore. But I really think it's you start getting exposed to more and more in whatever industry you are, and you're like, I want that, I want that. It's probably my fault too. Yeah, you gotta, you have to have discipline. And sometimes when you start, my problem is, I don't know, I go down rabbit holes, right? I get really interested in something, whether it's French or Chinese or cooking steak under wood or doing it another way. You go down these rabbit holes and you start exploring. Oh man, this would be great if I could do this, or I want to attract the best chef, so I'm going to build a kitchen that's absolutely gorgeous. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
kitchen and AC in one place is more than my first restaurant. Just those two things, right? Like, damn, how'd I get here? You know?
I mean, it's good. I think you just have to be reasonable with yourself is what I'm hearing. Like that you have to be honest with how much money you really have. And also it's almost like when you buy a new house, you may think you have plenty of, savings stored away, but there's always something that breaks. I remember when I bought our house, we had like immediately we had to replace all the HVAC and we didn't know that at the time. And so there's always something that you need to plan for. And it sounds like it's that time 10 in restaurants because I've worked in restaurants. I've never owned or opened a restaurant, personally. And so it's always interesting to hear that sentiment rings true, whether you're buying a house or anything. But restaurants, it could be even more. That you got to be careful with how much money you have, on hand.
100%. I mean, you got to be within your means. You know, the first one, I was probably the most disciplined on my budget, on what I could do. Didn't go off. I mean, and you have to expect the unexpected. I went into a building that was for Houston, which is really, really old, right? Like
Mhm.
about 100 years old, because Houston likes to tear down all its antique stuff and anything with character, in my opinion. But uh, being an original from New York, where, like, you're kind of lucky in New York, you walk into instant atmosphere in a lot of places, right? This building, if people don't know, I mean, like a slab, right? Your concrete slab. This was a bakery. It was a great story. I don't know if you want to hear it now or later, but I'll bring tears to your eyes. But it has slab, and it was a bakery, a Jewish bakery, Polish Jewish, whatever. Opened in 1919, and my contractor goes, "Oh, everything is listed out what the budget is." So cutting out for plumbing, they start cutting and cutting. They said, "Oh, it's max. It's a foot thick." It was 3 to 4 feet thick because back then they built stuff to really last.
Yeah, they built stuff to last. That's right.
And every machine comes in on like tank, rollers, and I'm like, "Oh man!" It goes, "Yeah, this just went up. Like, this thing could take down a 10-story building, 3 feet." And of course, then you choose where I put my elevator. Must have been where these ovens were. It was a 5 foot thick concrete slab that doesn't exist. Now they're like,
Yeah, no one builds like that anymore.
yeah. So I mean, it happens. You got to roll, and then you have to cut out other stuff. I mean, I think any business, but restaurateurs, value engineering is the word we use all the time, right? Like, I heard a great quote.
Yeah.
I think it was Kirk Kerkorian when he built MGM. He goes through the contractors, designers. Hey, I want all this, blah, blah, blah. Give me everything, right? Budget comes out to like 3 billion or something. And then he goes, okay, I want all that, but now I want it at 1 billion. That's the goal, right?
Yeah.
They don't like that, but
It's a constant struggle no matter what business you're in. I will say, okay, so you talked about you open one concept after another. You've opened a lot of different concepts, and the success of B&B Butchers is the reason the rest of your group exists. What are the biggest drivers of success? Like we've heard a lot of the challenges, and we'll get back to more challenges. But what would you say are the biggest drivers of success? And if a listener wants, one of their locations to be their growth engine, what are the few things they've got to get right?
I mean, one, you just you gotta be so in love with with your concept, right? And you gotta believe in it. I mean, I tell everybody, and it's ego, right? Your ego, if I don't believe in it, and it's a good ego, right? Like, I have to believe in this. My guests have to believe in it. My employees have to believe in it. I have to convince the PR people and all the press that I could. If nobody believes in it, if you don't believe in it or show that you believe in it, what's the point, right? How's anybody going to follow you or come with you on this journey? I think that's number one. You know, it's passion, right? Like being in this business, it is hard. But if you have the passion, I don't know what else I could do. I really don't anymore. And I love it.
Mhm.
And that willingness just never to give up and optimism. Like even in the darkest days when we got into financial trouble, every day I never thought it was going to go under. That BK word was not even, I mean, trust me, we spoke to lawyers, but it wasn't an option. That we were going to find a way out of it. And that's maybe sometimes, I don't know, crazy optimism. But I'm the one who has to smile every day and say, guys, we're going to go through. And then there's some luck. I mean, flat out, I went on a location that everyone said was crazy in Houston. I thought it was good. Highways and all these roads kind of intersected here, but it was on a road that honestly, my only foot traffic was people getting out of the Houston jail, right? So not the best. And my first day, I was with I remember this. We had a party, opening party. We're still putting together the furniture on the rooftop. I'm sitting with the health inspector, making sure I get my health inspection done. And a guy walks into my parking lot. I'm looking out the window. The health inspector's looking at me. Thank God he wasn't looking out. This guy walks into the parking lot, takes down his pants, and decides to go to the bathroom right there. God. Now I wish every restaurant somebody decided to go to the bathroom in my parking lot and give me good luck, right? But in any right, I mean it's crazy. A little superstition there. I open them on like the same days. Like I open that one on a Wednesday. I want to open all on a Wednesday. But if that first one has to hit, and that will in any business, because then that allows you to start going. If you don't hit that first one, I don't know. I mean, maybe it'd be better if I was an oil trader right now in Houston, but yeah. I mean, I wrote a business plan for 4.5 million. Actually, I had a partner because I didn't want to do this journey alone. And I have 3 kids. I wanted that life, and this thing sucks everything out of you. Well, he was from Ireland, and I didn't know that he had a illegal green card marriage, and I think he's one of the only Irishmen that gets deported from Houston. And then you had to live in Texas at the time to get a liquor license. He's in Ireland. I said, I'll take you off the lease. Come on. Turns around and sues me for $1 million before I ever even opened.
So it's kind of like a be careful who you get into bed with a little bit in terms of business. That would be an advice that you'd have.
Yeah, and the other thing my dad told me after this one was, I was like, "How can I trust anybody?" And he goes, if you don't trust people, what's the point of any of this? You still have to have those bonds, and whether it's your contractor, you put your business in so many other people's hands, especially the most expensive time where actually it's time, right? Time just can go, and that can kill you. But I can't submit a plan. I can't go to the permit office. I can't drill a hole for plumbing, right? I can't even,
Yeah.
and trust me, if I touched electric, I'd probably be dead today.
So what? But help me understand. Your first concept hit, right? Instead of didn't hit, right? It hit. What do you feel made it hit? Was it the food? Was it the ambiance? What do you credit that with?
I think I was at the right time in the steakhouse world. Um, so I'd worked years and years and years in this business. I worked for I worked, the majority was a company called Smith and Walensky. They're out of New York, brilliant guy, Alan Stillman, created a lot of steakhouses. And it really, I think the whole market was full of kind of your grandfather's steakhouse, big leather couches. Oh,
Old derby type of places.
yeah. And I just felt, and all their menus were going away from steak. And I grew up in a company that butchered, we dry aged, we did everything, but steak stopped being the focus. So at this time, you had Ruth Chris, Palm, Morton's, Del Frisco's, Smith. They're all basically the same. As a let's make something a little livelier, give some
Mhm.
atmosphere, give a sense of place. Yeah, and then I realized through my working career, it's not always it's, we all buy from the same steakhouse. What am I really selling? You figure that part out. We're selling ego. I mean, steakhouse or egos. Like you've arrived in life.
Yeah.
Your bosses are eating at a steakhouse. I want to go there and eat at the steakhouse. So, I mean, yeah, I did things like big meat menu, more, I'd say, New Yorkish ambiance, close tables, lively, not leather everywhere, and it just hit. People got attached to it. Also, there's one thing I always thought, because in those bigger ones, they all kind of look the same throughout the whole space.
Yeah.
I want to connect with the guest. So I make sure different rooms or different areas, two bars don't look alike. I want you to have a reaction, because if you tell, because then once you're invested in it, the guest say, you know what? If you go here, you got to sit upstairs. I like it so much better than downstairs.
Yeah.
Create that, and I think all those things at the same time. Plus, the market was just, I think, boring. I mean, STK hadn't opened up yet. Kind of that going towards
Mhm.
email. It was boring, and I wanted to do something fun, right? Like I like being in my restaurant, so I wanted to be in a place that I want to be in.
I agree. That's that when I think about what works, what causes me to choose a place, I frequently have to pick the restaurant that we're going to for whatever work dinner we're at, because I love food and people seem to trust my
Right.
taste in things. And I think about, oh, what makes me want to go there? And there could be that little thing of the whole, oh, you got to sit at the upstairs bar. This place has got a really cool upstairs. Little things like that make the decision between me going there and going to like Chris or something like that.
Right. Well, and you're invested in it now. We've given you something to care about.
Yeah, and I would think if I was gonna start a restaurant, it would be me looking at it through that lens, which I think is good. But you could also get over your skis a little bit, and so you've said you had a kind of a open a ton fast era, for for restaurants, right?
It wasn't planned that way, right?
Okay, talk to me about that. Why was it not planned that way, and how did it end up happening when it wasn't part of your plan?
I can be blunt. Like, if I didn't do this, or it actually worked out. I have 3 restaurants where I had investors. I've cashed
Right.
every other one. I opened them through my cash flows. If I didn't open, I'd be sitting on a mountain of cash, probably hanging out with the cool people in San Tropez or St. Bart's right now. But it was very important to me to own my own and take my cash flow, not take it to myself, and build and build. During COVID, we were in a great position. We didn't have real debt, right? So,
Mhm.
I mean, I had, payables and stuff, but no debt. And I was always nervous about debt. I think that's the number one thing. If you can always avoid debt, stay away. It'll crush you. And
Mhm.
I was getting great deals. My name, people really liked what we were doing. I had some great people in the company. And I said, okay, this project's going to start here. This one's going to be a year later. This is going to be 8 months. We open cash flow, and just kind of let it go that way. And that was a plan during COVID, right? Everyone has a great plan with Mike Tyson to get punched in the face. And everything slowed down, right? Like Houston used to be an amazing permit office. I could get a permit in 3 months to build. It
Mm.
turned into a year and everything. And then, timelines, and then air conditioners took so much, so long. And they just got, it's my fault. I should have seen it, but everything just came together and it was crushing. There's no way you could have, even though like 22 and 23 were amazing revenue years, you can't do it. And you're killing yourself, your team, you're hiring. I mean, we got so fat with G&A that, like, but just to get these places open, it shouldn't have happened that way. I should have seen it better, but it did, right? Um, but you live and you learn, and also like concepts. For me, it's fun, and I think that's what attracts people to my company, because we have so many different concepts, right? But at the same
Right.
time, you know how much marketing and PR you have to do when you have a French restaurant, Italian, 2 different kinds of Italians, Asian steakhouse, this steakhouse. Like, oh man, this is crushing.
Yeah, but speaking of those concepts, right? Like, some concepts just really hit, right? But then some don't work. What's your personal kill switch when it comes to recognizing that something's not working? What's the number or the signal that tells you that, hey, this restaurant's not fixable or worth fixing? We got to shut it down. What are the things that you look at for that type of a decision?
I mean, number one, I think if you speak to any entrepreneur, right, I'll get to that. It's cash, right? So like when I go to bed, I have this saying like somebody who doesn't. I got in real trouble with my ex girlfriend one time, and I said, she has a sales job. Great, I was so proud of her, but she's just digging, and I'm like, I pay salaries. You accept a salary. We'll never be the same. I don't sleep at night because of that, right? If I have a business that one restaurant is just we're dumping cash in to keep it going, dumping. I'm bringing everything else down. And the employees and the team members, I have a duty to make sure this thing goes, right? And if I'm taking too much money, I mean, really, the fastest one I closed should have closed it maybe 3 to 4 months earlier, but I mean, I'm dumping it almost $100,000 a month into it.
Do you feel like there was a bit of like the fallacy of sunk costs happening for you, right? Like maybe if I just keep this going, it'll turn around rather than being real with yourself on the numbers.
Yeah, I mean, I had that problem with my Fort Worth restaurant. It was the second one I ever did. I shouldn't have done it. I was too naive. I was too. I mean, the Houston one wasn't even proven yet, not at all. But I got sucked in. Problem with that one is I was dumping money into it, and then it just took off, right? But I think all the decisions in opening that one were right. I would say ego can be terrible at the same time. Like I opened a Chinese restaurant out there. I was never like, that's my comfort food. Cantonese, Chinese. I absolutely love it. I was told I had the best stuff. I went against a lot of my principles of what a space needs, what I needed. It had terrible parking. In Houston, if you have terrible parking, terrible access, no exposure to the street. And I really tried to look beyond all that because I was going to build a beautiful restaurant, great food, nobody's going to care. Well, also, you know what? Houston's not New York. I thought everybody loves Chinese food every single night, right? Like that's how I grew up. All these things that I would have thought about before, I said, we can just drive through it. They didn't work, but right? As Houston's
Mhm.
one of the most diverse cities, but they love Vietnamese here. We have like this awesome cuisine called Viet Cajun foods, and it's just amazing. But that's where people go, and they don't order Chinese every night.
Is that where you obviously you're familiar with New York, is that where you felt like maybe you could have done better in terms of the market research of where you were opening? Or it feels almost like you gotta have your finger more on the pulse of the city where you're building to understand what will work and what won't.
100%. I mean, I think it'd still be open right now if it was in a different neighborhood, different area.
Yeah.
I really believe that. I mean, I have a concept right now which I absolutely love, and it's puttering along, and we've done everything we can. Right? I brought in consultants that work with Chick-fil-A, and I mean, real pros in this. And I think I chose a bad location.
I think on that, what I'm hearing, and I've seen this with a lot of other folks too, is you can have the best concept of a restaurant ever, and your food can be killer. And if your location is not a good location, or it's one that has access problems or poor parking to your extent, like that will completely change someone's decision. Like I could be sitting with my wife trying to figure out where we're going to go on date night. And we're like, oh, we should go there. Ooh, it's always such a pain to get into that
Yeah.
parking lot. Let's go somewhere else. Like something as simple as that can nuke the concept.
Oh, I mean, they always say, I heard like it's location, location, location. And
Right.
actually in New York, if I see it here, it's an odd thing. Like there will be multiple concepts going into the same place and everybody fails. But we always think,
Hmm.
oh, we can change that. And I don't
Yeah.
know why that brain goes that way. Some things are just duds. But why make it hard for your guest? Right? Like I can't stand the restaurants where they won't give you salt or they won't put Parmesan cheese and the chef doesn't like it that way. It's your
Yeah.
it's like the guest is number one. So if they can't even get into my place or all these little things when there's so many options, make it easy. Don't go, I always say, I mean, it's our team members, but if you could put yourself in whatever you're doing, you're selling a product. How are they using it? I shouldn't be telling them how to use it, right? Like, how can I make every step of the process easy and they want it? But I screwed that up a couple times.
Yeah, so you've talked about a couple things that you may have screwed up, especially around, like, things like, permits and supply chain are the things that you talk about being a killer for your business. What tactics do you use now to help, now that you've had that experience? What have you changed about your approach to help you for future success, now that you've gone through the hard knocks, school of permit supply chain?
Not only was I opening all these restaurants at the same time and personal life's falling apart because I think I was going through a divorce, 3.5 year divorce is brutal. I think
Mhm.
I think entrepreneurs probably have a hard time in relationships because I'm also married to my job. Like it's all I think about. And you sacrifice a ton of your life and ton of your time and your family. I think they sacrificed. It's learning what makes you happy too. And I went through this time, I hired a CFO, I hired HR directors, all this. And then I'm sitting in meetings, I'm like, I'm miserable with this structure. And I don't think I'm doing a good job. You got to know, you start realizing with yourself, one restaurant, I could do everything, right? I was payroll, everything,
Yeah.
accounts payable, I had QuickBooks. Um, but I was happy because we're building something, and every day was new. And I'm learning every day. I didn't know any of this stuff. I didn't even know I had to pay like a tax on comps, right? Like the state controller came after me. I didn't know you had to pay a tax when you give somebody a free cake slice for their birthday or something. You do. I got lucky. I got out of that one, but I started learning, you know what? You got to give up. We had 1,200 employees. This is a real business now. We're at like 75, 80 million in revenue. Wow. I mean, I started with
Oh,
64 employees with 1,200, and I owe it to them. I owe it to myself. One, if I'm not happy, maybe they're not happy. And what am I good at? Where do I want to be? And start building a team that does things better than you. And that's when I think really started the turnaround. And never make the
mm.
same mistake twice, right? Like you got to learn. And but really, I think the turnaround and everything was going out and finding people that like and do things that I don't, and trust them. Like give up. That's the hardest thing is to like give up control. I went out and got this present. She's amazing. We never even really negotiated money. We could renegotiate working agreements because who wants to come in and have a big title and then everyone still comes to me? And what would be the point, right? Learning that process has been amazing and unbelievably helpful. And she says no to me, and I got to listen. You know,
Yeah, and I think that that's a key thing, especially in leadership, is to surround yourself with other leaders who address, things that you may be weak in, so you can focus on your strengths and having the humility to be able to give up some control there with people you trust around you. I think is important in terms of scaling.
100%. I mean, it's just it's not delegating, right? It's literally why would anybody, especially in this business or any business that really has the passion for it and in it, why would they want to work where they can't make decisions? Right?
Hmm.
Let them have ownership over. Where we've gotten out of this financial issue, and we're in a great spot. I mean, the next thing I would say, and where I'm in the process of doing, give up some ownership, right? Like when I started, when I was young, I said, "Oh, I want a private jet." Like all that stuff meant something, or I thought it did. Now it doesn't mean anything. I want this business to go forward, keep going, and the only way to do it is I got to give up, right? Like give
Wow. Yeah.
that is, I think, I've met a lot of owners, and when they're at that time where they start giving up percentages, like 30% of their company away to leadership, or that I think ignites your growth. And I'm hoping that'll ignite my second round. You know,
Yeah, I think people truly support what they help build, and nothing helps you feel like you're building something than being part of an ownership. So you partnered with Carvel to for Buttermilk Baby, which you call it first fast casual concept, and that's very different from where you came from.
100% cool casual. I like cool casual, right? I think
Cool
there's
casual, I like that. We'll go with that. So what changes though when you go from high touch dining to cool casual for that, especially when it comes to things like labor or product consistency, because it's just a totally different business model to a certain extent. What changes when you make that shift?
It's brutal. I wish I could curse here, right? It's like it's a mind. It blows your. I mean, everybody in my company, they all come from fine dining. Always trying to excel there. And now, but I truly believe once you've done the top, right? It's hard if you're running you own a McDonald's and then want to do fine dining.
Yeah.
As long as you know this up here, the hardest part is that mindset of saying, okay, a manager doesn't have to touch every table, even though Chick-fil-A does that, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And scaling it back, menu, everything. And you want to give because in fine dining, we want to give to our guests. And how do you do that with less? I mean, Danny Meyer was right. He started that with Shake Shack. You know, give that, but we'll scale back all this other stuff. Using technology is something. We're in the restaurant people. We're like the most archaic people in probably any business. But scaling that back, I mean, my idea was really let's give a great atmosphere with great simple food and let people feel we can still give them experience by building a place and just, you know, hit that. But yeah, the hardest part is my chefs are like, oh, we have to do this and this. And like, guys, slow it down. We're selling hamburgers, a fried chicken sandwich, and a hot dog and a buttermilk biscuit, right? Like, and ice cream. That's it.
Yeah, super simple.
Yeah, you should have seen you should have seen the prep lists on the first day. I'm like, what? How? And it's a model that other people do. Um, listen, like the Canes guy is amazing. Keep it simple, right?
Yeah,
Um,
contenders all day.
all the, but it was a struggle. But I like I think when you're a little crazy on this, I want that challenge, and I want to see if we can do it.
Yeah, I like that, and I think I'd wanna land the plane here, of you mentioned earlier, you don't love repeating the same thing.
Right,
And you've only replicated a couple concepts because of that proclivity for you, and maybe because something about those concepts just hit for
right.
you, right? You also talked about expanding certain brands into other markets because certainly certain brands could maybe even do better in other markets than when they're currently at now. What type of concepts are truly scalable, and why?
From my company or in general?
Yeah, let's start from your company and then whatever you see in the industry as well.
I mean, there's a hunger in this country that just doesn't stop. It's meat, steak, steakhouse. I have three different kinds of steakhouse, but at the same time, every concept we do because it's how I grew up in this business and learned and my experiences. Steakhouses are different than a restaurant. You have restaurants, you have steakhouses, right? A French restaurant. Let's look at it as a steakhouse. You start with proteins and then you can build flavor and everything, right? But that core can go. I think. I mean, I have two steakhouses that we want to run with. French we want to run with. But every year, even with people getting healthier, vegetarian, whatever, meat consumption in this country keeps going, going, and going.
Yeah, protein is a huge thing right now.
I came out with a really silly drink, but it kind of hit. Like Starbucks did it, and
Uh-huh.
with dry January and all that. We added protein to call it the Proteina Colada. It's a catchy name. I want, my doctor says you gotta lift weights and you're getting older, drink a lot of protein. I'm like, oh, listen, I do like to have a drink. I'm not gonna, sugarcoat that. I want Jamie Quinn to come and sponsor me, right? But if I'm done and I went to the gym or I need to get 220 grams of protein, they say in me, oh, I'll have a drink. And if there's protein in it, why not? Right? Like, but yeah, proteins are amazing. I mean, and also, following the trends of, I mean, alcohol's
Yeah.
it's so interesting right now how it's changed. I worked in a bar in college in New Orleans called the Boot. And I had friends that stayed, right? And they never left the boot. They became general managers and talking. The weird thing, I was talking to somebody actually last night, hotel guys who were in town, they're opening a hotel. And I would ask my buddy like 15, 20 years ago, like, what are these college kids drinking? And he'd say, these people are weird now. They're asking for spritzers, wine spritzers at like 9:20.
I heard that at a bar the other day, and I was like, "Excuse me?"
Yeah. But that's where White Claw came from, right? Like that happened. I mean, remember what was the name of that drink? Zuma or something? Way ahead of its time.
Oh,
It was like Sprite and something. It was
yeah.
right. Like I could buy it at a corner store with my fake ID in high school, right? But if that had opened, happened 5, 6, 7 years ago, it would be huge. They were just ahead of it. But watching that whole part of our industry change, wine getting destroyed right now is, dealing with Ozempic and all those things and people's eating habits.
Mhm.
It's interesting. Keeps you going, makes you nervous. Right?
Yeah, I think it's always been like that, right? The trends have changed, caused people to eat and drink differently, and whatever's happening now will look different next decade.
Oh yeah.
And I think keeping up on your finger on the pulse of what's happening there and being able to have, a concept that, to your point, proteins as the anchor of a restaurant have always been the case. I mean, even all the way back to medieval taverns. But then it's what happens around that core that you can make adaptable to either the market or the changing winds of taste that happen. I think that I see being the opportunity there is if you have a good core concept
Yeah.
and make it adaptable, it's scalable to me.
And actually, the steakhouse is that one restaurant. If you look,
Mhm.
pull up every steakhouse around the country, you're not stuck to anything. I can't open a French restaurant and put Peking duck on, right? Like it wouldn't make sense,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
It wouldn't be on brand. But
No one would order it.
I can have like firecracker shrimp. I can have, fried calamari. I can have pasta on the menu, and it all makes sense in a steakhouse because we're not
Mhm.
stuck
Sure.
once we have the core, and it allows you to be flexible with changing tastes and trends, right? So we can cut back, we can change flavors. So and honestly, it's high revenue. Like
Yeah.
my dry aged bone and ribeye, the margin might look bad. Like maybe I'm running a 40% cost on that cut, and I'm running like 1,000, like 1% on a creme brulee. But you know how many creme brulees my cost of goods sold on the creme brulee looks great, but I can't pay rent, with a creme brulee. But when I'm making $50 on a ribeye, and then you have volume, yeah, that $50 becomes real, right?
If all your customers were me, you would be able to pay rent on a creme brulee because I love creme brulee and I will order it all the time.
I need you to come in like 1,000 times a day, though,
Yeah.
right?
It would be a problem though. Speaking of the health things, we need to make that chill. Something we do on every episode is we kind of want to end it with resources for the people who are listening. Can you share 3 books, podcasts, resources that have mattered to you and helped you out throughout your business that people could be able to go pick up?
So there is a podcast that I found as an entrepreneur. So, the one thing like you stop, I remember growing up in my house, everybody read, right? But now you don't seem to have time. It's called the Founders Podcast.
Yeah, Founders Podcast is great.
It's great, right? And it's summarizing books and entrepreneurs and great leaders. And pay attention to like, don't, what do they say? Like, you can't reinvent the wheel. There's lessons that keep happening. And I found that one so like it's just great to hear that. And I would love to have a job where I can read 400 books a year and just talk about it, right?
Yeah.
But that always. I mean, after that, I don't know. I went back to school. I went and got my master's. Like, just keep learning because I knew what I wasn't good at, and I took advantage of everything I knew I wasn't good at. Right? I knew I had hospitality in me. I knew that, and you can't teach that.
Right. It's kind of a soft skill for sure.
I mean, even right now, right? Like AI, like I'm down in it. I was trying to do a really complicated amortization chart, and I built them in school. And I'm like, I hired a new CFO, and he goes, "Dude, it's Gemini. Just put it in." Oh my god, I worked 4 hours on this thing yesterday. I mean, there's that. I think it's keep on learning and learning. The other great entrepreneurs. Doesn't matter what business they have, whether it's marketing, mistakes, not repeating, debt. Like, that's the one thing I went into a lot of debt. Like, these guys don't have debt. And they keep talking about how painful debt is. And I've learned so much from that at the age of 46, 47, and it starts to guide you, right? I think Danny Meyer's book was, one of the ones that really set me off.
Yeah.
And I give now everybody, every manager that comes to my company, Unreasonable Hospitality, an amazing book. I mean, it's phenomenal. Every new manager gets a copy, and I love that concept, right? Um, I mean, this give back, like giving back helps you. I just spoke at University of Houston, which has a really nice hospitality school. I go back to Cornell at least once, twice a year. It'll reignite your passion for whatever you're doing when you go speak to young people or students that are like, their eyes are wide open and, we're cynical and like everything sucks right now.
Yeah.
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 Like, and I realized somebody told me, said, "Man, don't be that owner." And owners always have this thing. They think their company is not as good as this company. And it's the biggest fallacy, right? Like, but you have that inside of you. And when you go speak to kids or students, wow, it just ignites you again. And you're doing some for yourself, and obviously you're doing for them as well. But it reignites me every time I'm down. I like call up Cornell. Hey, can I come speak? I'm interested in this.
Yeah, it's interesting. I totally relate to that. It's life giving. I mean, sometimes these kinds of conversations are the same for me because in my role, I'm doing a lot of meetings, a lot of presentations, a lot of answering emails and Slacks. This just kind of resets me. But also, a couple of years ago, I got to guest lecture at an MBA class at the University of Georgia, and I just remember, you're looking at these, 24 to 30-year-olds who are, it was something I hear that. It was so reinvigorating to talk with them and just to see them just ready to suck everything up, where I'm kind of coming from a mindset where I'm like, "Oh, man. Oh, I gotta get to the
Yeah.
next thing. Oh, geez. You got these problems over here." And it was just such a good reset that, I agree.
And you're really connecting when you build this PowerPoint and all these fancy stuff. And when I don't even get to my second or third page because we're just going, it's an amazing feeling.
Yeah, that is the best. Oh, man. Ben Berg, thank you so much for your wisdom. Thank you so much for sharing the hard knocks you've taken so that other folks who are listening might be able to learn from that and grow. Thank you for being this resource. And I'm really excited to see the way that your business is going to grow in this kind of new phase for you and the way that you're going to expand. It's going to be good. I'm excited to see it. And I really am thankful for your vulnerability and your candid honesty. So thank you for the time.
Well, thank you. Now you got me excited. I don't want to go do more concepts. But my president would say no. This is great. Like, now I'm happy for the day.
Oh, I love that. That makes my day. Thank you so much, Ben.
Thank you.
Restaurant Reset is sponsored by Genius for Restaurants, the modern point-of-sale system from Global Payments. Genius helps you reach your most important goals, whether that's simplifying your operations, speeding up your checkouts and table turns, easily expanding into new locations, or building loyalty with guests. To find out more, visit globalpayments.com/genius.